What's going on, guys? Pete Nova here with the Face Off Sports Network. I am back today. Christmas Day is upon us. We got 3 games on the slate. We got some Saturday games as well. And then we got obviously a ton of games on Sunday to close out the fantasy football season, right? We are here. We're at the home stretch. So if you're still watching at this point in the season, you're either a sicko and you love our content and you're eliminated, or you're looking for us to help you out with some tough lineup decisions. I am Pete Nova. I am your host. Thank you so much for supporting us this season. It's been a great year. We very much appreciated everyone that comes in, shows up for the shows, supports, the super chats, the likes, the subscribes, everything, the kind words. Merry Christmas to you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying your holiday season. If maybe you're sneaking away from your family to get some start sits in to listen to the content, I appreciate it. Got us on mute or whatever have you. We appreciate you being here. I think Mike is going to join me at some point. He is with his kids. At this point in my life, do not have kids. So thankfully, Christmas is not as hectic for me as it is for some of you, fathers and mothers out there. But we've kept you guys waiting for a pretty long time. And I want to kick the show off and get things started here. So let's go up to the top and let's get it started with some of these questions. As always, if you don't want to wait, you can send in a super chat. Very much appreciate it. And you'll jump the line and we'll make sure that you get answered quicker. Let's start off with Frosty here. Said, Merry Christmas. I need 2 flexes out of Emmanuel Wilson if Josh Jacobs is out. Not sure if he's healthy. I think Jacobs going to play. Woody Marks, Dylan Sampson, and Kyle Pitts PPR. So I definitely think Kyle Pitts is in play for me here. I have him ranked pretty high. Tight ends, I always say, look, if it's not like a top 5 tight end, I rarely am playing them over position players in a flex spot because you're really hoping for a touchdown. I have Kyle Pitts ranked as my number 3 tight end this week. So Kyle Pitts is definitely in my lineup here out of this list of players. Then you have Emmanuel Wilson with a tough matchup against the Ravens. I think Jacobs is playing. Emmanuel Wilson's definitely not in the cards for me for a player to start this week. It's really between Woody Marks and Dylan Sampson right now. And just taking a look at my rankings and where I have these guys, Woody Marks I have as my RB31. Dylan Sampson I have as my RB56. But that has a caveat. I have him ranked low because I want to see him log a full healthy practice. But to be completely honest with you, I'm going to go with Woody Marks here. I know he's dealt with the injuries, but he has no injury designation as of today. It's a tough matchup against the Chargers, but he's healthy. I'll go with the healthier player that we've seen in a more consistent workload. Dylan Sampson is definitely not a bad flyer in deeper leagues if you want to take a chance on him because of the receiving upside, because no Quinshon Judkins, but Raheem Sanders and him are going to split some time there, and that's going to be a really low-scoring game. I'd have to check it, but I believe the total in that Steelers-Browns game is somewhere around like 35 points. Let me check just to verify that. Let's see. Yeah, 34.5 points. So, I mean, you're really, really hoping he gets peppered with targets because not a lot of projection for points there. Thank you so much, Frosty, for jumping in. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Jared Ford, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for jumping in. So, Merry Christmas. PPR for the championship. Need 2. Wan'Dale Robinson, Ted McMillan, Justin Jefferson, Chris Rodriguez, Michael Wilson, Jalen Waddle, and Luther Burden. So Chris Rodriguez has been ruled out. Now, this message came in a lot earlier, so I'm sure you've seen the inactive already, but he is inactive for this game. Going to these wide receivers, I mean, Justin Jefferson has struggled. Lions defense, not very good, but it's also Max Brosmer. I mean, what can we really expect from him? I have Jalen Waddle as my wide receiver 17 this week. I don't hate him against this beat up secondary with the Buccaneers. So I have Jalen Waddle ahead of Justin Jefferson this week. So I think he's in play. Wan'Dale, Tet, Michael Wilson, right? Those are the players that you really can go back and forth with. Michael Wilson, though, I have him ranked a little bit lower. The tricky thing with Michael Wilson is, who is DJ Turner going to play on? Um, Michael Wilson, that game yesterday was a little, I mean, last week was a little up and down, but I'm even looking at my rankings right now, and I'm probably going to move Michael Wilson back up. So I would say Jalen Waddle and Michael Wilson are the plays for me. If you don't want to go Michael Wilson, the pivot for me would be Tetterell McMillan. And then the next option would be Justin Jefferson and then Wan'Dale Robinson. So if I had to rank it, right, Jalen Waddle, Michael Wilson, Tetterell McMillan, Justin Jefferson, Wan'Dale Robinson. So I would go with Wilson and I would go with Jalen Waddle if I were you. And obviously we talked about it, but Chris Rodriguez is out, and Luther Burden is the last guy on that list. I mean, look, he can, if you're swinging for upside and you're expecting to be in a game that you are projected, you're not even supposed to be there, like type of game. Sure, maybe you swing for the fences with the guy Luke Luther. Probably just take a chance on Jefferson at that point because Lions secondary is really bad, and he's the better player. So, but I don't want to start either of those guys. Zach Lynn's in the house, said, "Merry Christmas, you filthy animals." What's going on, buddy? Nice to see you. Fire a bill with C-Rod out. Yeah, definitely don't hate that depending on your league. Antonio in the house. Got a super chat that just came in, so we're going to get to that one. But Albert's in the house as well. If you guys are here on Twitter, Nick, I see you. Antonio, come over to YouTube. It helps us out tremendously. We're going to try to focus on mainly the YouTube questions, but if you stick around and listen, there's a good chance I'll answer some of your questions anyway. But come on over to YouTube. It doesn't cost anything. It helps support us, helps support the dream over here on YouTube at the Face Off Sports Network. Mexican Tom Brady said start 3, bench 1, PPR, Pickens, Olave, Nico Collins, AJ Brown. So Chris Olave is my wide receiver 7 this week. George Pickens is my wide receiver 6 this week. And then Nico Collins is my wide receiver 8 this week. Collins plays against the Chargers, which is a little sketchy. It's a Saturday game. Chargers defense has been really, really good against the opposing wide receivers and limiting them in fantasy football. So, there is a little bit of hesitancy there. But Chris Olave and George Pickens have to be lineup locks for me. You can go back and forth between AJ Brown and Nico Collins, but I'm gonna go with Nico Collins. It's an indoor game there. I know the matchup for Buffalo secondary, but Buffalo's defense really does is they try not to let the explosive plays happen on the back end. So they're kind of soft on the front. And so that's why a lot of teams can run the football on them because they limit a lot of plays and they're just trying to limit the explosive in the passing game first and foremost. So AJ Brown would be odd man out for me, but if you wanted to pivot and get him in, it would be Nico for AJ Brown for me. Thank you so much for the super chat. Very, very much appreciated. Let's go back to where we left off. And Iggy is in the house. What's up, Iggy? Good to see you, man. Said, Merry Christmas. Would you start Travis Kelce or Taysom Hill or drop Kelce for Tonjes if Kittle is out in a PPR league? So, yeah, I mean, look, it didn't look good for this Chiefs offense last week. Travis Kelce put up a stinker. I am not high on Travis Kelce this week. I have him as my tight end 15. I have Taysom Hill as tight end 16. Jake Tonjes is interesting. I have George Kittle at tight end 12 this week. I think if Kittle is out, Tonjes would be the play for me over both of those guys. You're not going to find out though until Sunday night at 8:30, which is really, really sketchy. Let's see, just to verify. Yeah, I mean, Kelsey's playing tonight. So if you don't play Kelsey, boom. I would just not play Kelsey, right? I wouldn't play Kelsey. I'd rather take the shot on Tonjes and Taysom Hill, right? See how George Kittle progresses through the week and then make that decision on Sunday at 1:00 if you're going to put Taysom Hill in or you're going to put in Tonjes because again, Tonjes plays at 8:00 on Sunday night. Some tight ends that I have that might be available on your waivers. Colby Parkinson ahead of Taysom Hill and Travis Kelce. But I do have George Kittle slash Tonjes ahead of Kobe Parkinson. So I hope that makes sense there. But you're playing with fire if if you really, if you leave it to chance that Kittle may not play. So I would just want to see what's going on. He's got the ankle sprain. I would leave Kelce on the bench. Heck, I would even consider dropping Kelce and seeing if your league mate would pick him up and as a landmine. And maybe you fool them into going and picking up Travis Kelce and putting him in their lineup. But that would be my philosophy, Iggy, and that would be the route that I would take. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you so much for popping in. Let's see. Which kicker? Pinheiro, Boswell, or Mevis? I believe from what I've seen, Mevis and Pinheiro would be the two that Hoff would be going back and forth with. He's not here right now. He might be joining at some point. But for me, I would go with Mevis. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Yeah, that would be the play for me. He's been really solid as of late. Jenny Whipple, what's going on? So Merry Christmas, guys. You can start one. I have Josh Jacobs, but I'm not sure about him. Also have Aaron Jones and Chris Rodriguez. Yeah, I would go with Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones against the Lions. They're going to have to play from behind. I know it's sketchy. I think I might have lagged out there a little bit. But yeah, I would roll with Aaron Jones there. No Jordan Mason. Aaron Jones. Look, when Jones is healthy, he's looked good. It's just the sketchy thing about himself too. I mean, like he leaves games early, like very often, right? And so that's really some of the concern that you might have for a guy like him. But look, Josh Jacobs, he's limited all week. He left the game early last week. Was a game time decision. I just don't know that I want to put my eggs in that basket, or it would be Josh Jacobs. Detroit is a tough matchup. Don't get me wrong. And obviously, like Chris Rodriguez is ruled out, which I think you had mentioned because he came back later on and said, do I wait for Jacobs news or start Aaron Jones? Honestly, I would consider Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. With Chris Rodriguez out, I there's a world where you start Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Now that room, there's not much there. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. But yeah, I think ultimately I am very, very, very likely going with Aaron Jones. We have two more super chats, so I'm going to get to those. Germs and then Tyler Sperry said, pick one defense, Lions, Saints, or the Titans. Yeah, I got to go with the Lions for me. Lions are going up against a Minnesota team that just lost their starting center. They're rolling out Max Brosmer, who, I mean, threw 4 interceptions against Seattle. Now, the Lions don't hold a candle to Seattle's defense. So, I'm not going to sit here and say Brosmer is going to be that bad. I don't think that's the case. Plus, they're going to be at home in this one. The Vikings will. So, but I like the Lions much more. I'm not high on the Saints this week. I know they've been playing very well, but the Titans, they're not giving up many points to opposing defenses, which is why we didn't like the Chiefs last week. So I would roll out with the Lions there and feel pretty confident in that one. Their defense is not very good, but I still really, really like the Lions there. Thank you so much for the super chat. Tyler Sperry, $5 super chat, said question above. Thank you so much for jumping in, Tyler. Good to see you, man. Let's take a look. And Mexican Tom Brady said, thanks a bunch. I think I'll go Rico. Yeah, Nico. No problem, man. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. Tyler said, Aubrey or Fairbarn? Fairbarn is used more. Devonta Smith or Luther Burden, Downs or Pierce, Schultz, Tonjes, Strange, who is streaky. Yeah. So for the kickers here, I like Fairbarn. I like Fairbarn. I know Aubrey has been phenomenal, and he can always kick from far distances, and that's great and all. But Fairbarn's been phenomenal the last couple of weeks. I think that the defense for the Chargers can bend but not break kind of thing, where they're forcing more field goals, and so I would rather go with Fairbarn, who's been very, very good. But you can't go wrong. I mean, both these guys are probably going to have really solid weeks. Devonta Smith or Luther Burden. I'm not gonna sit here and big brain this. I'm gonna go with the guy that's got me there in Devonta Smith. I have Devonta Smith as my wide receiver 25 this week. So I'm 24 this week. So I'm not like super high on Devonta Smith this week, but I'm still playing him. Luther Burden, where do I have Luther? Yeah, I mean, I have Luther Burden ranked pretty low. He's my wide receiver 83. That's not going to stay that way. He's going to get bumped up, but it's just really more precaution because we're waiting to hear from the injury news. If he does play Luther Burden, I would play him above Parker Washington, Jaden Reed, and right behind Khalil Shakir. So he'd be my wide receiver 40 this week. Now, there is high upside. This is a San Francisco defense that's very bad. And if Rome Odunze doesn't play, this could be the guy that you want to get in your lineup if you're looking for a really, really high upside play. But you know, yeah, I'm not. Burden is just very up and down right now. He has the potential to have a smash week in this matchup, but I'm gonna go with Devonta Smith here. Been more consistent. I trust that offense to get him the football a little bit more. He looked good last week. Downs or Pierce? Yeah, Downs has played much better with Phillip Rivers in the lineup. I'm still going to go with Alec Pierce. 2 touchdowns last week. He's my wide receiver 37. I have Downs at wide receiver 40 this week, 44 this week. I'm going to go with Alec Pierce for sure here. I actually prefer Alec Pierce over Michael Pittman. Higher than both of those guys in that lineup. So that would be the route that I would go when rolling out one of them. Let's take a look here. What else do we got? And then the tight ends here. The tight ends between Schultz, Tonjes, and Strange. Yeah, I mean, I get the streaky comment there for the tight end position. My tight ends are ranked Dalton Schultz as my tight end 4 this week. Brenton Strange at my tight end 5 this week. And then I have Tonjes as my tight end 12. Look, if you want consistent and safe, you go with Schultz. If you want a little bit of a higher upside play, you go with Strange. I mean, we just saw George Kittle and Tonjes absolutely dice up this Colts linebacker core. So they were really, really bad to the tight end position. So that's that would be how I would roll it. Tyler, thank you so much for the super chats, my friend. And I hope you have a very, very good Christmas. Let's see, what else do we have? Jared Ford said Merry Christmas to the best fantasy guys around. Appreciate that, buddy. Zach Linton still in the house. Paul, what's going on, Paul? Good to see you, man. Said Merry Christmas. Made the championship in first ever Dynasty season. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Said start Cousins or Aaron Rodgers. Also pick 3 in PPR. Hunter Henry, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Carter, Woody Marks, and Josh Downs. Yeah, I'm very high on Michael Carter this week. I'm going with Michael Carter, Hunter Henry in the spot with those two, and then it would be between the rest of either Marv, Woody Marks, or Josh Downs. I would probably go with Woody Marks over Marvin Harrison Jr. here. Yeah, I would go with Woody Marks over Marv. So it'd be Michael Carter, Woody Marks, Hunter Henry. And then for the quarterback position, yeah, Cousins or Rodgers. I mean, it's pretty gross between both guys. I would go with Kirk Cousins. I think there's a chance that that's much more higher scoring. But I do think Kirk could be in for a tough day against the Rams. If Tyler Shuck is available, I'd be starting him. I'm starting Tyler Shuck over Justin Herbert this week in one league. So I would go with Shuck if he was available over the 2 quarterbacks that you listed there. Robert said a half point PPR, half point tight end premium. Flex 1, Breece Hall, Deebo Samuel, AJ Barner. Oh gosh, man, that's a really, really brutal question. The premium makes it tempting. Man. Yeah, I mean, AJ Barner's my tight end 17 with the premium. It doesn't really make a huge difference. It'd be between Deebo and Breece Hall. There's a reason you're asking this question because it's pretty gross, and so yeah, I get it. I can definitely understand. Deebo's got a good matchup, man. I would go with Deebo Samuel. against Dallas. I'm not high on Breece Hall this week. I haven't been high on him the last couple of weeks. Breece Hall is my running back 26 against the Patriots. They just possibly getting Milton Williams back. I think, oh man, Breece Hall to me gives you the safer floor with okay upside. Deebo Samuel gives you, I mean, higher upside in that you think they're going to get a lot of garbage touches, maybe with no C-Rod. I think they're going to have to throw the football. I think Debo's higher upside, but he's lower floor. I think Breece Hall is higher floor, lower upside. But it's a really, I mean, that's a tough spot, man. Really, really tough spot to be picking between those guys. Jerem said, pick one, Purdy or Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, so you have Brock Purdy against the Chicago Bears, who's gotten some reinforcements, and that defenses look better. And you have Jacoby Brissett against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going with Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett, look, he had a down week last week. He's been extremely, extremely good for fantasy at least. They're going to be in a game that's going to be high scoring. I mean, it's going to be. I think the Bengals have the highest team total on the week when I looked, and the over under in that game is 52.5 points. So 52.5 points is actually tied with the 49ers and the Bears. The Bears defense is better though, much better defense. I would roll with Jacoby Brissett there. I appreciate the super chat, Germs. Thank you so much. Alrighty. Yeah, so I'm at my in-laws, so the connection, if it's cutting out, let me know. But I want to make sure I got on here and helped you guys out. So let's see. Herbert or Brissett? Yeah, I'm going Jacoby Brissett very comfortably. I'm starting Tyler Shuck over Justin Herbert this week. Burton or Buka and PPR. Yeah, I would go with Luther Burden here over Emeka Egbuka. Look, I love Emeka Egbuka. He had a great start to the year. But at this point, it's really hard to trust him. He's my wide receiver 46 this week. I'm not rolling him out. I'll take the chances on Burden and shoot for the upside play. If you're looking for a good floor play, maybe Emeka is there and he's the floor. They did talk today or this week about trying to get him more involved, but yeah, I mean that's pretty rough. Michael Lewis said Javonte or DeAndre Swift in PPR. I'm afraid of Javonte sitting some. Yeah, I don't think Javonte is going to sit. I'm rolling out Javonte Williams. His over-under is 15.5 rushing attempts. I was talking to my dad about that this morning. I would go with Javonte over DeAndre Swift. It's a great matchup for Javonte. I'm not worried that he's going to sit in this game at all. He's playing for a contract. There's no need to preserve him right now. So Scorpion said, should I keep George Kittle in my starting lineup, my tight end spot, and risk him being out after every tight end is played? Or should I would go with Jake Ferguson. I have Jake Ferguson ranked ahead of George Kittle either way. So I would go with Jake Ferguson. Manny said, start one and flex one wide receiver. Wandale, Devonta Smith, Jacoby Myers, Christian Watson, Parker Washington, and Blake Corum. Yeah, I would go with Devonta Smith here. Parker Washington. Yeah, I would go with Devonta Smith here, and I would go with Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers definitely is the lineup lock here, 16th in my rankings. Devonta Smith is wide receiver 25, but look, you could maybe say, hey, I'm going to start Blake Corum over him, but I'm not doing that. I think we're chasing the potential that of what we saw a couple weeks ago. I don't think that's going to happen every single week for Blake Corum. He's been solid, right? But they're not riding a hot hand kind of thing where if he gets hot, they're going to ride him. This seems like a very strict split. So I'm rolling with Devonta Smith and Jacoby Myers there. If you want to pivot on one of those guys, it would be Devonta out. But I'm definitely keeping Jacoby Myers in my lineup. Let's see. Tree hugging Hunter. What's going on? Merry Christmas. Best two flexes need a lot of upside. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, any context that you guys can give helps. PPR, Burden, Jaden Reed, K9, BTJ, Pearsall, DK, AD Mitchell, Ferguson. AT trying to upset the 5 seed that typically scores high weekly. Okay. Um, yeah. So Luther Burden, if you're talking need a lot of upside, Luther Burden for sure for me. And honestly, it'd be Jake Ferguson. I normally I wouldn't flex a tight end, but I mean Washington's so bad at covering tight ends, so bad. So I could see Jake Ferguson scoring a touchdown and getting a lot of catches today. I would roll out Jake Ferguson and I would roll out Luther Burden. Good mix of really high upside, low floor for Burden, and really solid upside with a good floor for Ferguson. So that would be how I would roll it out. Um, if you didn't want to roll out with Ferguson because it's a tight end and you're looking for really, really high upside, which seems like you are, and you still wanted to pivot off of Ferguson, yeah, I would go with Brian Thomas Jr. That would be what I would go with if that was the case. But I would still go Ferguson and Burden if I was if in a vacuum, right? Baseball Shorts 19 said just got the Rodriguez news. Should I start Bill over Henderson? This is a tough question to answer. I would need to know, is there another pivot if Henderson doesn't play in a vacuum? If Henderson plays, I'm playing Henderson. Not even a question. Henderson doesn't play. I need a flex. Help. Corum, starting Kyron, Woody, Manungai, or start two tight ends. Well, it just depends on who your tight ends are. But yeah, I mean, you're starting Kyron. I just don't want to do both guys. I really don't. Yeah, I would go with Woody Marks. And it depends on who the tight ends are, but I would probably go Woody Marks and Manungai. Manungai against a really bad run defense. 49ers just don't know how to tackle. Woody Marks, tough matchup, but I don't want to roll out Corum if you're starting Kyron, and I'm not benching Kyron for Corum. I understand there have been weeks that Corum's outscored Kyron, but just not doing it. Yeah, and I know I keep freezing up a little bit, guys. My wife at my parents is not the best. So you just have to bear with me here. Should I play Bill over Woody? I would still probably go with Woody Marks. More competent offense. Jags or Bucks defense. Thanks for all the help this year. Yeah, no problem. I would go with Bucks defense. I'm not super high on either, but with Philip Rivers playing, I'm not that high on the Jags. So I would go with the Bucks defense. Championship week. My running back choices are going to sink me. Pick two PPR: Manungai, Pollard, Jalen Warren, Blake Corum, and Wilson. Yeah, I've seen worse situations, to be honest with you. Let me see where I have it's between three guys here. Yeah, I would go with Jalen Warren. He's my RB 18, and I would go with Tony Pollard. He's my RB 24. I have Kyle Manunga as my RB 30. So that would be how I would roll. Should I start Bill over Henderson or wait and then start either Wilson or Parker Washington? Yeah, I would wait. I would wait. I would wait. I would wait. I would see if Henderson plays, and then if not, pivot to either Wilson or Parker for sure. Kenny, I'm going to get to this question for you. I did tell people on Twitter to come over to YouTube, but I will get to this because I know you sent me something on Twitter and I didn't answer it yesterday. I was kind of jammed up. Caleb Williams or Jared Goff? Yeah, I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. I like Jared Goff. He's been on a heater. A little bit of down week last week, but he's my quarterback 15 this week. I'll go with Caleb Williams, my quarterback 10 against San Francisco in a competitive game against a bad defense. I would go with Caleb Williams, and then pick two wide receiver and a flex. Let's see. Two wide receivers and two wide receivers. Two for wide. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, I keep reading that wrong. Michael Carter, Buka, Luther Bird, and Alec Pierce have Corum and Washington for now. I'm outgunned, so I'm looking for. Yeah, Michael Carter for sure. Michael Carter, if you're looking for upside, he's playing the Cincinnati Bengals. If you're talking about you really need upside and you're in a game that you don't expect to win, Michael Carter has to be in the lineup. Caleb Williams, Michael Carter, and then for the other, you need a wide receiver then. Right. So yeah, I would go with either Alec Pierce or Luther Burden. Um, Everyone's chasing Parker Washington and what he did. We've seen him pop and then drop. He played Denver last week, and Denver was their best corners were not matched up on Parker Washington. So yeah, it's between Alec Pierce and Luther Burden. If you're going for upside, you go Luther Burden and you go Michael Carter. That's what you do. Um, let's see. Need a running back, half point PPR, Michael Carter or Cross Merit. Yeah, I'm going Michael Carter. Like Michael Carter a lot this week. Galaxy Pickers, ready for the chip? Do you like Goddard or Taysom Hill, Diggs or Marks, Texans or Steelers defense? Yeah. So for the tight ends for Taysom Hill and Goddard, I'm definitely going with Goddard. For the wide receivers, I'm gonna go or not wide receiver, Diggs or Marks. I'm going with Diggs. And then for the defenses, I mean, it's close, right? Steelers and the Texans. But I have the Steelers ahead of the Texans. I have the Steelers at 4. I have the Texans at 5. I have the Lions at 3. I have Denver at 1. I have the Patriots at 2. I don't know why I went out of order like that, but there you have it. PPR. Do I wait for Trevon Henderson? I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting, especially if you have an okay pivot. Mexican Tom Brady, I'm going to get to you in a second. Pick 2 in PPR, Downs, Pierce, JCM, BTJ in PPR. Yeah, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Corey Krosky Merritt against Dallas. And then it's really between BTJ and Pierce for me. As you can see, it's not very much of a gap. I don't love either play, but I'm going with BTJ. BTJ is my wide receiver 27. Alec Pierce is my wide receiver 30. If you feel conviction on one of those guys, then go with your gut. I'm not going to sit there and be like, hey, this is a slam dunk for this guy or that guy. Tony, I'll get to you in a second. Mexican Tom Brady said thoughts on Loveland this week. Have to choose between him and Juwan Johnson in one league and have him versus Tyler Warren in another. Yeah, I mean, Loveland, look, he didn't perform what we had hoped for last week. He gets a good matchup against the 49ers this week. I have Loveland at 8. I have Juwan Johnson at 7. And I have Tyler Warren at 11. So I would definitely start Loveland over Tyler Warren, but I would start Juwan Johnson over Loveland in the other league. Saw a video on defense ranking, but I'm still struggling to decide between the Rams and the Saints. Yeah, I'm going the Rams over the Saints comfortably. Lightning, PPR, Evans, or Harvey favored to win. Yeah, I'm going with Harvey. Drew said full PPR, start one JCM, Corum, Parker Washington, big decision for the championship. Yeah, they all feel like big decisions. I'm going with Corey Krosky Merritt, who's now the lone guy at his backfield. If not, I go with Corum. I'm not going with Parker Washington. I'm not chasing last week's game. I'm just not doing it. What's going on, Zach? Good to see you, buddy. Taysom Hill, Barner, Warren, Darren Waller, Michael Mayer, one of those tight ends. Yeah, I'll go with Tyler Warren here. Saints or Dallas defense? Dallas for me comfortably. Anyone interested in the defense? Yeah, Jack, I am gonna join that. I did see that you threw that in the Discord. You can feel free to send that in here as well. In case anybody wants to join the DFS, I'll gladly join. I saw you send it in our Discord, so I'll definitely join that. I'm gonna reserve my spot now and make sure that I get it in. Start RJ Harvey or Kyron Williams. That is close. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kyron Williams, but it's not by a lot. Kyron's got a good matchup against Atlanta. Harvey, though, I mean, Harvey could get a lot of work today against Kansas City. But I'm gonna go with Kyron Williams. Shall I start Drake May or Trevor Lawrence considering the bad weather? Choose two between Gibbs, Taylor, and Irving this week. I need floor. I mean, yeah, Gibbs. You're not sitting Gibbs. And I'm going with Jonathan Taylor over Bucky Irving. Yeah, I'll go with Taylor over Bucky. I have Bucky Irving as my running back 15 this week. I'm not super high on him. Um, Gibbs is a smash. He's always going to be a smash. For the quarterbacks between Trevor Lawrence and Drake May, I have Drake May as my quarterback 1 this week. I have T Law as my quarterback 5. T Law has been hot. Drake May has been Drake May. He's been hot too, and Drake May really hasn't put up many stinkers. So I'm going with Drake May. If Hendo's out, I could start Emmanuel Wilson or I'm starting Michael Carter. Start Carter. That's what I'm doing. I'll get to you. He said happy holidays, Pete. Javonte Williams or Jalen Warren. I'm going Javonte. Bucks or Rams defense. I'm going Rams. Bijan and opponent has Puka, and I projected 47%. Yeah, I'm going with Rams defense. Zach Linton, what's going on, buddy? Juan said in the finals, who for my wide receiver 2, flex and tight end? We have Michael Mayer, Travis Kelce, Dalton Schultz, or AJ Barner. Wide receivers, Jacoby Myers, JSN Dobbs. Running backs, Kyron Williams, James Cook, C. Lamb. Okay, so you need a wide receiver 2, a flex, and a tight end. So let's go for the tight ends first. Definitely going with Dalton Schultz. Not even thinking twice about it. Going with Dalton Schultz comfortably. None of the other tight ends are in my top 12 this week. For wide receiver, yeah, I mean, wide receiver 2, you're going JSN. Not thinking twice about that as well. And then I assume, okay, so running back Javonte. Okay, so you have to decide between your flex between Jacoby Myers and Javonte. I would go Javonte over Jacoby Myers in the flex. Dak or Drake May. I have Lamb for the stack if that matters. Yeah, I'm going with Drake May. I don't put too much emphasis on stacking unless you're playing in like a tournament based. Pick one: Carter, Krosky Merritt, Emmanuel Walker. I'm going with Michael Carter, baby. Rolling with Michael Carter. You can bring the pitchforks out for me if Michael Carter does not perform, but he's going against the Bengals. I'll take that shot, man. Harvey or Bucky, JMO or Waddle. Yeah, I'm going Harvey, and I'm going with Jamison Williams. Tony said, thank you again for your help this season. Hope you have a great time with the family. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You too. Dak or Drake May. I'm going with Drake May. Dak or Joe Burrow. I'm going with Joe Burrow. Highest team total on the week. Let's see. Where do you have Purdy and Williams ranked on your quarterback list? Yeah, so I have Caleb Williams at 10. I have Brock Purdy at 9. So I have Brock Purdy one spot ahead of Caleb. It's a coin flip, though. If you feel convicted on one guy or the other, go that way. But I have Purdy one spot ahead of him. Jalen Warren or Krosky Merritt, I'm going with Jalen Warren. Purdy or T-Law, I'm going with Trevor Lawrence there. I have Lawrence as like my quarterback 5 this week. I'm very, very high on him. Let's see. What else? What else, guys? You got anything else? Anybody else? Here we go. Smitty said pick 2 wide receivers: Olave, Sutton, T. Higgins, Jacoby Myers, and out of the 2 not picked, one of them or Aaron Jones in the flex. All right. So yeah, Chris Olave for me is a smash. You're playing Chris Olave, you're playing T. Higgins. So it's really between Aaron Jones and Cortland Sutton. I'm going with Cortland Sutton over Aaron Jones this week. Cortland Sutton's my wide receiver 13. I would go with all the wide receivers. I'm not gonna start Aaron Jones in that spot. I mean, Jones, look, no Jordan Mason, which is tempting, which is great. I did advise earlier for someone to play Aaron Jones in their situation. In this situation, I would not. Thank you very much. Great content. Happy holidays. Yeah, thanks so much. You too. One for the road. Ibuka or Parker Washington. Oh God. I mean, yeah, I'll go Parker Washington here. I'll give in. I haven't said Parker Washington for any questions today so far. I know a lot of people are chasing that, but I'm going with Parker there. Michael Carter, Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, Kyle Manungai. Yeah, I'm going with Michael Carter here. And then, man, I think I would. I'm definitely. I like Manungai, but I'm not going Manungai in this spot. Yeah, I would go with Kenneth Walker. Yeah, I'd go with Kenneth Walker. I would go with Michael Carter. Better offense. I just don't love Breece Hall, man. Dalton Strange or Juwan Jennings. I think we talked about this before for somebody else. I have Brenton Strange at 5. I have Jawan Johnson at 7. I think I said Jawan Jennings, but Jawan Johnson. I would go with Strange though. Summer Dude said, Merry Christmas. Yeah, you too. Please help. I don't have a YouTube account. Pick 3 in PPR: Brees, Waddle, Dowdle, Michael Carter, Pollard, Devonta Smith, JCM. Yeah, I'll go with Waddle. I'll go with Michael Carter. And then I will go with Tony Pollard or Devonta Smith. I'll go with Pollard because he's just been hot, but I'm okay if you go Devonta Smith. But I'm not playing JCM. I'm not playing Dowdle. I'm not playing Brees over those guys. Anybody else? Anybody else? We are all caught up right now. Is there any other questions that anybody might have before I shut this thing down? We're at the 40-minute mark. We got about 30 minutes left to go. I'll give it about 20 seconds to breathe here while I create this DFS lineup. Give you guys a couple more chances. I see a couple more people sending messages in, so keep that going. Let me build this lineup for today. Ooh, man, this gross options. Oh, man. Go with Dak in my quarterback spot. Go with RJ Harvey. I'll go running back heavy because these teams are going to be up big. I'm not going to cash in. I'm not going to put too much on these expensive wide receivers. I'm doing a little best ball lineup. I'm not best ball. Well, DFS lineup right now. Keep sending in those questions. I'm going to get to them in 2 seconds, but I'm going to build these lineups out. Put JMO in there. I guess I'll throw in Pickens for the stack. I'll take JMO out. Ugh, gosh, man, there's some gross options. Go Treylon Burks, I guess. I mean, I don't love it, but I need to get some cheap options. Deebo Samuel's cheap. Let's go Jake Ferguson, and then I have a flex with a defense. So Denver, and then 4,900 left to spend. Yeah, let's go David Montgomery. Got $100 left. Yeah, I'll do that. All right, Jacqueline, I am in. I am in the DFS contest. I have officially submitted my lineup. All right, let's see what else we got, and then we'll get out of here. Parkinson or Mike Gesicki. Yeah, I'm going Colby Parkinson. Merry Christmas, PPR, JCM or Brees Hall. Man, I'm going Ja'Cory Koski-Merritt. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. I didn't have Brees Hall ranked very high, but I'm going Ja'Cory Koski-Merritt over Brees Hall. I have Brees Hall ranked rather low in my rankings. I have him behind Colin Monungai. I have him pretty low. I have him as my running back 30 this week. So Pats or Lions defense? Yeah, I'm going Pats. I'm going Pats. Not thinking twice about it. Go Pats defense for sure. Iggy, Parker Washington, Monungai, or Woody Marks. I'll go with Monungai here. And then for the tight ends, Ferguson, Barner, Taysom Hill, Drake May, or Parkinson. Yeah, I'm going with Ferguson comfortably. Huge help this year. Brought the help to the chip. Just want to say thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Yeah, no problem at all. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your holidays. Thank you so much for the support. Best ball on call. Smash that like button for Pete. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas to you, man. Good to see you. We're gonna start doing some best ball playoff drafts. So next week we're gonna do some live best ball drafting. We're gonna draft with the live viewers as well. So if you want to make an appearance, best ball on call, hit us up. Let me know. You can follow me, hit me up on Twitter at Supernova38. If you want my contact info there, you can just shoot me a message or tweet me, and we can definitely arrange something if you want to get in. Also, Saints or Giants defense, thanks for your help this season. No problem. I'm going with the Giants comfortably. Scott, I think that's you, man. Made the championship. Thank you and the face-off crew. Oh, awesome, man. Good to see that. Love that for you. Spacey, how do you feel about the Chargers defense? Yeah, Chargers defense has been phenomenal this year. Deserve a lot of credit. Was a defense I was very high on coming into the year. Jesse Minter's done a phenomenal job with that unit. They dealt a lot of injuries, the entire team. As for the play this week, I don't have them super high. They play a Houston team that, look, CJ Stroud, I think, has like 5 interceptions on the year. That offensive line is getting better and better each week. I have Chargers at 15 this week. So, yeah, I'm not super in love with it. But yeah, I did post my rankings for DST, my final rankings, my updated rankings, and obviously throughout the week I'll make some adjustments and post any adjustments that I have. But I will share that to the community tab in case you missed it or don't have a Twitter account. But you can find it there for sure. And then let me what else do we got? We got one more question from Spock, and then I'm gonna throw I'll throw uh my DST rankings up in the community tab as well for here for on the face off community tab. I did record for the DST video. I did do it on player profile this week. They asked me to sub in. So I recorded it there this week. On PPR and no tight end premium Waddle or Fan. Yeah, going with Fannin. Going with Fannin. Shuck or Dart and Parkinson. I'm going with Dart here. I'm going with Strange. Merry Christmas to you as well. JCM or Quinn Williams active with Quinn Williams active or Pierce. Yeah, I'll ride with Pierce here. But I'm okay going with JCM as well. Shuck or Lamar if he plays 6-point pass touchdown. Yeah, I'd go with Lamar if he's playing. I'm gonna go with Lamar over Shuck. That's gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the holidays. Merry Christmas. I will post those updated DST rankings right now to the community tab. Thank you guys so much for the support. We'll be live on Saturday, possibly, definitely Sunday, maybe Saturday. And then, as always, we're gonna be back next week for the playoff best ball streams. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We got a lot more content coming out. So stick around. Thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas.